Good morning. I'm delighted to have John Callan with me today, otherwise known as Corky. He's a man that's been at the forefront of practically all these demonstrations, now going back quite a long time. John, welcome to the chat anyway. Can you give us
Thanks a
an
lot, Declan.
update on our few victories and what is the general situation going forward?
Uh, I spent the last 8 weeks, as you know, down in Athlone, Lizzie Wallen, where they're trying to get up to between 1,000 and 1,500 unwanted, as I say, unwanted, unvetted male migrants in there. So, five councillors led by Paul Nolan, starting an injunction. And the people of Athlone raised the necessary money, somewhere in the region of €58,000. And they won their high case. The O'Gorman seceded on Tuesday, and on Thursday they had a remote hearing again with the High Court in Dublin. And on that remote hearing, it was put off again on the 27th of January. So from the close of business today, Friday, no more work can take place on the site until the next hearing on the 27th of January. The only work that can take place on the site now is basically services for migrants that are in there, existing migrants included that are there for the last 18 to 20 years. The likes of bringing in water, food, sanitation, clothing, stuff like that. But no physical groundworks can take place. So starting yesterday, I've been on the phone all day to Athlone, and trucks have been leaving there basically all day yesterday, and they will be today as well.
Okay, so the most amazing thing I've heard about that so far now is that you say that a very large sum of money, 58,000
Somewhere
euros,
in that region, yeah.
has been collected just from the people of Athlone,
Yeah,
which
and
seems to be
businesses.
contrary in a sense. A lot of people are saying, how come there's not more support from Athlone, from the people? But now you tell me that when it came to the crunch, they were able to come up with a very large amount of money to actually fund this process.
Yeah, I think what's happened there, Declan, is that a lot of people can't be seen to show support. There's a lot of reasons for that. Fear of being called a racist, fear of being called, far right, the usual lefty agenda, government agenda. Then you have businesses that, if they seem to come out in public, they're fear of losing business and stuff like that. Now, a lot of businesses in Athlone did come out publicly. Started with Ganley's Hardware. They were the first major business to turn away their truck from the place, and they fully supported it openly. And a lot of other businesses did too. But businesses that didn't want to become public obviously did put in a lot of money into it, and that's their way of supporting.
That being the case, going forward, perhaps it would be a suggestion that maybe not necessarily in the situation of protest, but in the situation where I see other people trying to set up community action groups or neighborhood watches or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
Perhaps all of those people should set up a small little GoFundMe page specific to that neighborhood or that area. So people could go on there and we'll say donate €5 or €10 anonymously, and not necessarily to fund the situation, but definitely to give them moral support and take care of some of the little miscellaneous expenses that they would have going forward, even if it's only just going for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee every now and then.
oh yeah, I totally agree. Like, see, there's so many different aspects to this activism, this protesting. There's people like me that are out and about, traveling all over the country, making myself knowing, saying what I have to say. There's other people that can't do that for various reasons. Like, say if you take one house with a husband and a wife, one could be against, one could be for. So one is not going to go against the other and go outside, or a son could be against it, a daughter. I've met plenty of families like that around the country. And like what you say, it's like when it comes to, say, the voting time, that time there for the general elections, people that don't want to let their policies be known whether they vote for left or right. That's the election we just had was their time to get out and vote. And even if a husband had to tell a wife, yeah, I voted left or I voted right, that's grand. They can lie about it, And
Yes.
that was their way then to make the difference that we needed in, say, in just the voting side of things. But obviously it didn't work out. But again, with the GoFundMe and all that, I think a lot of problems with GoFundMe's is that a lot of people don't trust them. Where's the money going to, and stuff like that. Like I'm in a situation here now in Ballina where I spent the last 2 days I'm working on getting a team together to start an injunction here in Ballina as well. And we're going to have the same problem of raising money to pay for an injunction here as well for the new bypass back in St. Mary's. And I'm no legal expert, but I have people now on board with me. I can't name them yet, but I've been discussing with them since yesterday, and it is a legal minefield. And again, raising that kind of money is going to be the problem again, and that's where I will and Ballina will be relying on people that won't come out to the front on protest or come to protest for fair or whatever. But by them donating, they're playing their part.
Yes, and it's much easier for a lot of people just to perhaps donate some money because there is a very great cost in doing, we'll say, what you do. Fortunately, you can, I guess, do it. But you mentioned there's a financial cost, but there's also an emotional cost,
Oh
and
yeah,
it might lead to strife in the household. And that, of course, you cannot put a price upon at all.
no,
So that's
no.
a very
I've
interesting aspect.
I've, Declan, I've had that in my own house.
Yeah.
I've had my wife threatening to divorce me, telling me to get out, and, my kids arguing with me for being away all the time and stuff like that. And yeah, I've had that in my own house, and I don't know any activist that hasn't had it. But thankfully, my wife knows, my kids know what I'm doing. It's for them, you
Yes, for the
know.
reason you are doing it.
Yes, and they know that. No, it does affect my health. I won't deny that. I'm not long recovering from my fourth heart attack in 3 years. And yeah, I had cancer and stuff, but I'm still fighting away. So like as you say, there is a health problem to it. There's a mental problem to it. It does take its toll on you, and I can vouch for that.
In
You have
in
you
that
have to take time
vein,
off.
a lot of people have asked me, and obviously I'm asking myself, will the protesters eventually become exhausted if this continues, both physically, financially, and every other way? It's okay to see the protesters there. The protesters are there at a great cost to themselves.
Oh yeah,
The police are there on overtime and getting expenses.
yeah,
I've also seen now where the police have made life a little bit more difficult in some areas, like depriving them of their little fire in their barrel just to keep them a little warm and stuff. It's
yeah.
not
That's
a
what
level
happened in that
playing
loan.
field at all. The people that are out on the protests are doing so at massive um, anxiety, expense, and you could almost say torture
Oh,
in
it
of
is. It
themselves.
is. I've been to so many camps around this country, and the expense is huge. No, don't get me wrong. People do help out. You know, but it's as you say, apart from the financial side of it, and like you brought in the police there now. I was down in that loan last week and we were talking to a POU fella for a couple of seconds, having a bit of an argument with him, and we were mentioning money to him, saying, you're making a nice 1,000 today, and exactly what he said to us was, I wouldn't get out of bed for it. So
Well,
just like
unfortunately,
what are they on a day, and who's
yes. What
paying
are
for it?
they on? And they've got the best of equipment, and they can sit into a nice warm vehicle, and
Yeah,
they have no worries whatsoever.
no worries whatsoever. No.
Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this. We're going to move on a little.
Yep.
Leaving the situation in Athlone, then the situation at Athlone now is at a standstill till the later parts of January when
The
another decision will be made.
the 27th.
Yes. And as regards the police in Athlone, would it be correct to say that it was very cordial relationships, all things being equal, between the protesters and the police, in direct contrast to, we'll say, in Coolock, where we had to witness horrendous scenes of brutality?
There was. they were definitely more cordial in Athlone.
Yes.
Like even when we stormed the barriers twice, they were still kind of, you know, cordial, if you want to say that. If that happened
Yes,
in
because
Coolock, you
you
can
had
imagine what
already
would happen
pointed
then.
out that the objective was to just walk up to the end. And I
Yeah,
could hear yourself and the other gentleman there, John, saying that, listen, we're just going to walk up to the end, we're going to walk back down,
yeah,
and we're looking for no trouble. And they
the,
wisely says they don't need trouble either, because who the
yeah.
heck needs trouble?
See, the reason that we made that decision, Declan, was because that's a public road, right? It's always been a public road as long as it's been there. And I was down there on, let's just say, Tuesday. I forget what day it was, and we were walking the trucks up and down very slowly. Right, it would take an hour to get a truck down that road, and a lot of trucks turned back because they were waiting so long. And we got a lot of trucks and stuff turned back, which was a great success. And we went down the following day then, and all of a sudden there was a barrier up, and the road became private, and they put a section 21 in it. Now it's not as if the road was bought overnight and made private, you know.
No,
So the police just made that decision, barrier up, section 21, which is completely wrong. And we had to make that point twice, 2 weeks in a row, of getting down there and convincing the people that they can do it. They have it within them to do it. And
yeah.
they did. It was fantastic to see.
It was a type of soft intimidation.
Yes, you can call it
Now,
mass
move,
civil disobedience, something like that. It's not breaking the law.
yeah, moving on then to Mayo. There is, I believe, four, maybe more. There's the one outside Castlebar, Breffni. There is Crossmalina. There is Ballina, and unfortunately, there's also Knock.
Yes.
Is it? Does it appear as if Mayo might, for whatever reason, be getting a little bit more harsh treatment than other counties?
Since the election, things coming up to the election were fairly quiet, right? But since the election, the Northwest has been hammered. Up in Donegal as well, not far from where John is living now. There's Milford, where I forget the name. I was up there doing a video on it 2 weeks ago. We haven't released that video yet now because we're waiting for more information on it. But they're trying to get, I think, up to 200 migrants in there. But as I said, we're working on information and paperwork and that, so we're not releasing anything on that yet. It's a hotel that was shut down. There's already existing migrants in there. Now, getting back to the Mayo area, Stephen Kerr is looking after Brafey a lot because that's the area where he's from. Crossmalina is only, 6 miles here from Ballina, and you have the Dolphin Hotel out there. Now, we're not being given exact figures on that yet. The girl who runs Crossmalina says no, Jacinta. She's very knowledgeable in it, and she's having another protest now coming up in the next week or so. But that place now it's only got 10 bedrooms when you look at the front of it. But out the back, it's huge. And you could technically get hundreds of migrants into that building. Plus, the owner of the hotel has bought the fire station just to the left, the adjoining building, which can fit an awful lot more migrants into it. Now, what they're claiming when we went down there, the day it closed a couple of weeks ago, they gave us out a letter saying that it's for homeless, right? So we know that's only a con anyway. If it is going to be homeless, it's refugee homeless. Basically,
Absolutely.
it's not going to be for Irish homeless. So basically, it's like what they're doing is they're recategorizing the migrants by calling them homeless.
So their
Um,
plan in that particular location is probably get a small number of people in, 30 people in, or whatever. But the thing is, they have accommodation for hundreds down, downwind, downstream from the 30 original people going in
oh
there.
yes, yes, that's always the case. That's what they do, and they'll probably bring in maybe, a couple of women and children to try and soften up the local people, like what they done in Ballina at the Twin Trees.
Yeah.
Same
Now,
situation.
of all the places in Ireland, surely to goodness, Knock would be the last place that they would intend to bring a different culture and religion into it.
It's the
It would
biggest
be
insult to the Irish people.
my analogy would be is if people wanted to build a synagogue in Mecca or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it is there a part of this situation where they're deliberately just poking the bear with a stick.
They are 100%, Declan. I've been going up now to Knock now since the first committee meetings I was involved with, going back maybe 4 months, 4.5 months about this. And the drum house, which is the smaller one, that's actually ready now at the moment. And there's talk about anywhere between 40 and 60 to 70 migrants going in there in the next 3 to 6 days. And that's only literally a 5 minute walk from the shrine itself. I've done plenty of videos on it. And Belmont, which is a bigger one, it's going to take a couple of months, obviously, to get that ready because it burned down about 10 years ago, 8, 10 years ago. It's been closed since. Work has stopped on it because of asbestos. And now the problem is I'm actually going up there, I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, and the work has started back in there again, even though there's been no letter from the council saying that the asbestos has been removed properly. People that were in there removing asbestos evidently didn't have proper equipment or anything like that. So the work now is back ongoing again in there, despite the asbestos risk.
So you are suggesting that Ireland, which is known for its very strict environmental codes, building regulations, planning permissions, single-family houses, on board plan all, and who knows, God only knows how many more levels of bureaucracy,
Yeah.
they are greatly relaxed when necessary.
When it comes to passes, Declan, yeah, 100%. And I'll give you one small example. Now we are saying of how robust they are. You know, here at the Twin Trees, two men that own that, Mark Devaney and Declan Hallinan, he's from Sligo. I was sent the link last night from England where he was up in court. I didn't see it in any Irish papers, but he was fined €25,000 yesterday. And I actually put up a TikTok about it last night because he removed 300 metres of hedgerow during the closed season, which is against some section of the Irish conservation wildlife. Just for removing 300 metres. He was fined. He had to pay €25,000 to local charities and to the Irish Conservation School or something like that. So that's hedgerow. So what? How come they can all of a sudden do someone an iPass owner like that for 25,000, but at Knock at the Belmont they're letting work go ahead, despite the fact that there's still asbestos in the hotel, without no paperwork that the people on the ground that I've been speaking to have been given no certs, no nothing regarding the asbestos, which is why I'm going up there tomorrow with some friends of mine, including John.
Well, God forbid some poor farmer up in Mayo might be a bit cold tonight and he will decide to put on a few sads of turf too many, and
Yeah.
that will wreck the global climate and we're all going to be in jail or whatever.
Oh, climate
So
change
that
is an
fellow
awful
is
thing.
got to be stamped out, but others, when necessary, are allowed to do whatever they wish.
Well, the simple fact is our government, our regime, as I call them, have gone totally rogue. They're working against the people, the nationalists especially, who are against these passes. Laws are changed overnight without conferring to the people. And they're doing whatever they want now at this stage. They've just gone totally rogue. And I don't think the new government that's coming in, whenever they come in, is going to be any better. It's the same people. They're just going to be switching seats around.
To finish off on this subject for today, because this is just really a report rather than a discussion,
Oh, of course, yeah.
to bring it up to the facts on the ground as we speak,
Yeah.
if you want. I hope to be speaking to some other people setting up these community watches. Do you sense that there is an element of fear in rural Ireland, in small towns, for example, of 2,500 people or 3,000 people? At one time, in a town that size, everybody would know one another, at least to see,
Yeah.
and they might have their squabbles, but they most certainly wouldn't be walking around in fear. But now, my feeling is from listening and reading between the lines that people are actually afraid to venture out at night. It's just unsafe.
I see it every day in my travels, Declan. Now, we're trying to set up a community watch here in Ballina ourselves. Myself and, the Ballina says no white pass with Keith there. and we've got a couple of people on board. Um, just take Ballina itself. In the last roughly 3 to 3.5 months, there's been, I don't know if it's 4 or 5, and as I call it, child migrant interactions with young children. Thankfully, parents and passerbys were near, and the situations was calmed down, and the migrants were chased away. A young man coming home from work at 4:30 in the morning, working in a bar when he finished, was chased up Ardnary Hill, which is only 2 minutes walk from where I'm living, by 3 migrants with knives. The latest incident, we got a phone call from a good source at the Twin Trees, and only 2 weeks ago, a 15-year-old migrant threatened Irish staff with a knife, something about food or bedding or whatever the problem was. Police were called. Police took a statement. They asked was the migrant going to be arrested. He said he was underage, and the police sent him back to school, St. Muirdick School, which is only just 2 minutes behind me. So a 15-year-old migrant that was carrying a knife and threatening Irish staff at the Twin Trees Hotel was basically sent back to St. Muirdick's College, which is for all first year to 6 years, knowing he had a knife 10 minutes previous, and he went into a school. So how does that work out?
It doesn't
If,
work
that,
out too
if
good.
that's not
That's how
if
it
that's
works
not
out.
terrifying, Declan.
I think the people are just somewhat deliberately oblivious to what's coming down the pike.
See, so many people are indoctrinated by the mainstream media here in Ireland, especially if you take the over 50s, we'd say, which there's a lot of in Ireland. All they watched all their life is RTE and stuff like that, and they believe whatever they see. And RTE don't show any of this, so they don't see it.
They're actually living in a different universe
They are,
to
Declan, yeah. They
others.
are, completely. Like, now, I know for a fact we have changed a lot of people's opinions here in Ireland by showing them videos that we have and showing them the horrors of what's going on, especially up in the likes of Dublin, the capital, where there's, like, God knows how many of them, and it's attacks every day going on up there, you know. And, see, they have no, this Islam ideology, they have no respect for children or women. And that's the thing. Women, poor Michaela, who was down in New Ross, killed by her own father there 2 weeks ago, slashed from ear to ear, just because her having an argument with the child's mother because she'd done social media. You know, an 8-year-old child. You've Vanessa Callahan up in, down in Cork. There's been, I think, is it 22 murders in the last year or two on Irish citizens by migrants, deaths. The two gay men in Sligo that would be beheaded, the Ashton Murphy and all of that. It's just incredible what's going on.
I think in the last week there has been two murders and two people that are hopefully still clinging to life. One
Yes, that's
fellow, of
correct. Yeah,
course, as you know, in Mullingar, and the other Garda in Dublin or wherever.
he's
We
critical, or
don't
he
really have too
was
much
supposed to be. Yeah,
information of their injuries, but
yeah.
if you're in Beaumont Hospital, that's never good.
It's not good. The last I heard is that he's in a critical condition. That's the last I heard. They were two off-duty guards, as far as I know, on a night out or something like that, and they were attacked.
Yes,
You
well,
know,
because
because, you know, as I say to a lot of guards, it's coming to your door whether you like it or not. It could be your wife, your daughter, your granddaughter, whatever the case. It could be your son. You know, what are you going to do then? But they can't answer us because every time I ask that question, whether it's a POU or a police officer, all they can say is we can't comment. You know,
yes, he cannot comment indeed.
cannot comment. And I know a lot of police are against this. And I've often said it to police. I said, what happens? This country will go to a revolution eventually because it's going to, as I always say, you put enough air into a balloon, that balloon's going to burst. By putting all these unvetted, especially the unvetted male migrants into Ireland, you're pumping air into a balloon, that balloon is going to burst. And there will be a revolution or a civil war or something. And when that bubble bursts, where are you going to stand? Our side or the regime side? And
Yes, well, perhaps
they
it's time for every person
can't
to
answer,
take
yeah.
their stance.
Yeah, they're going to have to make a stance. Are they going to go for the Irish people, which is the oath that they swore? or are they going to go with the migrants? And my good friend always says to me about this IPAS, the IPAS. The P is for protection, but it's not for protection of the Irish, it's for protection of the migrants.
For the moment,
For the
yes.
moment, yeah. Yeah.
When they're no longer needed, the P will stand for pawn.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's all they are.
Yes, they're, as the Bob Dylan song says, we're just pawns in the game. Well,
100%,
this
Declan, yeah.
game is rigged, and it's not rigged to benefit the Gael.
No, it's not. No, sure. I mean, they're spending, was it? Is it between 6 and 8 million a day on migrants? You know that money can continue. What happens when that money runs out? Because it will run out.
Yes.
We're only
It
a
was
very
not too
small
long
economy.
ago when people were saying the local parish needs a football pitch or a soccer facility or whatever,
Yeah.
and they'd be looking for 200,000 euros or whatever, and it'd be such a large sum that the whole country would have to chip in.
Oh,
But
geez,
now
yeah,
it's 8 million euros,
yeah.
not a year, a day.
A day, yeah, a day. You know, that's some amount of money, Declan. Wherever
I'll have
it's
to.
like they're just printing it.
I used to be pretty good at mathematics, but there's
I was myself one time.
the 15,000 homeless. Divide
Yeah,
8 million into 15,000,
yeah,
and they're going to be living. Well, they're going to have to get a visa for the United States because they'll be living in Manhattan.
yeah. That's it. Yeah, and like let's not forget, there's 400,000 other people that are couples with children, and they're living at home with their parents because they can't get
Yes,
houses and accommodation. So you can count them. Well, as a friend of mine up in that loan said, they're not homeless as such because they're with their parents, but they're roofless.
yes.
You know, that's the
Well,
exact way
we
she
are
said it to
dealing
me.
with two sets of people in Ireland then. We are
Yeah.
dealing with the roofless and we're dealing with the ruthless.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, very, very good. Yeah.
And on that note, we will call it a day
No
because I
problem.
just
We
wanted to
call it
get
a
a week,
morning.
a morning or whatever it is. I
Yeah.
just wanted to get a weekly update and we'll do this. We'll keep track of things. There's other people coming online. Anybody that's still watching, I would point out that this media, such as it is, it's
Yeah.
small, but whatever it is, anyway, it's at the disposal of anybody that wishes to make a statement or whatever.
Yeah. Well, once you
Anyway,
process this, I'll get it shared all around Ireland anyway, and we'll get people onto you as well, Declan.
yes, John, thank you very much for all your efforts.
No problem
And
whatsoever, Declan.
thank you for being up early in the morning to talk to me as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I meant to ask you, what time is it in your neck of the woods in Massachusetts?
About 20 years ago, I sold my watch and I was too cheap to buy a new one, so I have no idea what time it is.
Well, all I know here is you can see there. It's getting bright now. Actually, when I woke up, it was pitch black.
But I do know we can still have a bit of a crack, Don, can't we?
Ah, we can. When we keep the word going, Declan.
Alrighty. All right, well, thank you very much.
No problem. And just a happy Christmas there to you all.
And happy Christmas to everybody in Mayo. And remember, Mayo for Sam.
Yeah, don't. They're saying that since 1951. I'm a Cork man. We won it plenty of times.
That la- that last player, he has changed his name to Methuselah. Good luck.
I said